Now to a very special family focus this evening and the remarkable journey of a 73-year-old woman living in Australia who's found out she's the forgotten heiress to an estate in County Tyrone. It's like one of those Who Do You Think You Are programmes. Her story features all the twists and turns of a great book or a film. Xenia Lewis is the lost child of the McClintock estate of Seskinore, and this is her story. The entrance to the McClintock estate at Seskinore, now a forest park. The house is long gone, but this is what it looked like. Now only pictures tell of its grandeur and elegance.
Just behind these trees here was my home.
Here is the woman who should have owned all of this, the house, the land. Xenia Lewis is here today with family researcher Alex Watson, who's been piecing her story together. This is what's left of the old stable yard, but Xenia remembers nothing of living here almost 70 years ago. Perhaps the saddest part, she has no memories of her parents. Her mother died from meningitis when she was just 15 months old. Her mother's death notice in the local paper mentions baby Xenia. Her father, broken-hearted, also died from TB when she was 4.5.
Some people can remember, but I don't know whether I've just blocked it out because I was taken away from my family. But I dearly love to be able to try and remember something of my father, but I just can't do it. I haven't even got any memories of this. I sort of look around and think maybe I should remember something, but...
At such a tender age, Xenia began a new life in the trust of guardians who took her all over Europe, but who told her nothing of her heritage. The mystery wouldn't be solved for almost 70 years. So how did she finally uncover the truth? Well, let's begin with her father, Captain Tony Joynson-wreford. It turns out he had had a son, Pat, from a previous marriage, who a couple of years ago began researching the father he never knew. Pat found that his father had remarried Lila McClintock of Seskinore. And Pat also discovered, much to his shock, that he had a half-sister living in Australia. The story began to take shape.
For me, I just didn't believe it, nor did she. I mean, you suddenly discover you've got a brother sitting in Scotland on the other side of the world without any warning. And I'm being told I had a sister in Australia. And it just sort of, it took a lot of sinking in. That you suddenly, at our age as well, suddenly discovered we were related, had relatives. I had none at all when I was in Scotland.
Tell me about when you first met Pat.
That was amazing. That was... I don't know, that was a shock. And he came out to stay with me in Australia, and he came up the gangway and I looked at him and I thought, geez, my brother coming up here, you know.
The half-siblings have found this amazing Pathé news footage showing their father, Captain Tony Joynson-wreford, before an early attempt to fly across the Atlantic. The plane was called the Princess Xenia.
I asked everybody, I used to ask everywhere, where did my name come from? And everybody said, oh, it's Russian or it's Greek, and I still don't know which it is. I think it's Greek, but I never realized it was the plane that gave me the name, so now I know.
The Public Records Office of Northern Ireland has been hugely helpful to Xenia, Pat and researcher Alex in piecing together this puzzle, tracing Xenia's amazing lineage back to the McClintocks of Seskinore. Her grandfather built the local primary school and the church where he and many of the McClintock family are buried. But it's not in this churchyard where Xenia made her most poignant and emotional discovery. It was here, side by side, in the little garden her mother played in as a child. She found the graves of her parents, Tony and Lila.
I sometimes feel cheated, you know, that I lost them both, but if they're happy, they're where they would want to be, so that's how I look at it, that they'd both want to be here together, and so just I wish I didn't live so far away, that's the thing, and I can't look after it. If I could be here, I could come every week and look after it. No, not to be, so. But I'll be back again next year to come and see them. As Alex said the other day, they're probably sitting up there thinking, thank goodness you found us.
Xenia found out that after her father's death, the McClintock estate was sold in 1941 to the Ministry of Agriculture. A decade later, the family home, which had fallen into disrepair, was demolished. Xenia would have been 17 and says if only she'd known, perhaps she could have saved it. Now she's the forgotten heiress to a forgotten estate. There's no financial fortune at the end of this story, just something you can't put a price on, discovering who you really are.
An incredible story. Well, there's one final piece of this jigsaw that Xenia is really keen to solve, and maybe you can help. She's looking for a portrait of her grandmother, Amy McClintock, believed to be based on this photograph. It was painted by an Italian artist and was left to Xenia in a relative's will, but she can't find it anywhere. So if you can help us or help Xenia, then please let us know. You can also see more of Xenia's incredible story on our website, plus interviews with the Public Records Office and the main researcher, Alex Watson. That's bbc.co.uk/Newsline. Donna.
An incredible story. Now, in a few moments, the bad boy of